friends. I'm your host, Erin Port, and welcome to the Simple Purposeful Living podcast. Life can be overwhelming and busy, so once a week, I invite you to join me, and together we will make simple tweaks to uncomplicate the hard parts of our life so we can spend more time doing what we love. I love learning from other women. Some of my best tweaks have come from simply watching or learning from what others are doing and then testing it out in my own life. I hope to do more of these podcast episodes where I'm sharing your tried and true tweaks that simplify and make your life 100 times easier because honestly, they're the best. You all are so smart. Just the other day, my friend Allie mentioned that she finally bought a laundry basket for each family member to keep in the room, and that instead of a huge laundry pile in their laundry room, now they each just bring up their laundry basket. And while we wash by individual, so we wash, Scott and I wash our clothes in the same load, but then I wash Solon's and then Vera's, Lucille's, and Quincy's all separately. We were running low on laundry baskets, and just her sharing that, I was like, yes, I just need to buy a few more laundry baskets so we're just not having their clothes like lay all over the laundry room on laundry day. Why do I resist buying $5 laundry baskets that are going to simplify my life? I don't know. But here we are. It's the little things, right? And oftentimes, one person's simple tweak is the exact inspiration you didn't even know you needed. So in today's episode, I'm sharing a collection of tiny tweaks from you that you submitted on Simple Purposeful Living's Instagram. And these are real life, in the trenches ideas that make life a little bit easier, especially in the summertime. So let's dive in. You might just find your next favorite tweak. And if you have a tweak and you didn't share it, go ahead and email me at erin@simplepurposefulliving.com, or you can DM me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, or TikTok. Okay, so let's dive in. This first one comes from Allie, and she says, here's the tweak that helps me. Get clear about what is important to me about the experiences my kids are having and what my kids want to do. Staying goal focused about that and then letting the guilt and stress go of having the perfect summer. Now, last week on the podcast, I talked about a what matters list and asking your kids like, hey, what do you want to do this summer? And then putting that on the calendar so you are sure it gets done. This is basically what Allie's talking about here. I love it. So get clear on what matters to you. It doesn't have to look like everybody else. If you guys want to go hiking instead of swimming, or you want to go to the movies on Tuesday, whatever it is, but put it on your what matters list, put it on the calendar and get it done. I love this, Allie. And then letting go of that guilt and stress about having the quote unquote perfect summer. If you're doing what matters to you, it's going to be the perfect summer. Okay. This one comes from Kristen. Full-time work outside of home mom here. My boys are 12 and almost 15. I make a list of summer lunch ideas so they aren't calling or texting me asking me what to eat every day. I have them pick things out for the week from the list when I do my weekly grocery shopping. We also have a set list of chores each week so they know what the expectations are for the day. We don't care when they do it during the day, but it has to be done before I get home from work. Okay, I love this. So this is giving some autonomy to kids, right? Like, hey, you plan out your day, but these are some of the things you need to get done. I also love the life skills of the kids learning how to cook meals on their own because they're going to need to know how. I have an almost 14-year-old and almost 16-year-old, and I'm doing the same thing. Like, I'm wanting them to learn. And we're kind of contemplating that around here. Like, could they be in charge of lunch? Could they kind of set that out? Remember last week on the podcast, I said that like my meal planning started that 7th grade summer when my mom was working. I love this. Putting the onus on the kids, again, delegating that task, helping them to find responsibility and learn those real life skills. It's awesome. Thank you, Kristen. Okay, this tiny tweak comes from Ashley W. Have a plan for the first few days of summer. Make a casual schedule or at least pick a few activities for each day. For example, on the first day of summer, we're going to go to the pool in the afternoon. On the second day, we're going to go to the zoo. On the third day, we're going to check out a new playground and bring a picnic. This takes the decision stress out of those first few days when it can be hard to choose what to do. I love this. I find that summer is broken up into three parts: the go-go month of June, the slow-go month of July, and the don't-go month of August, right? The go-go month of June is we have just been sailing along 100 miles an hour in the month of May, not only just doing school stuff and regular activities, but then all of the end of the year activities. And we all feel like we're going 100 miles an hour. And so having kind of like that jumping off part where it's like kind of exciting going into summer, having a few things planned. That is awesome. And it's not going to be like this all summer long where you have to have a plan, but just that in between, like we talked about, that transition of kind of moving into summer. I love this. This is awesome. Thank you, Ashley. Okay, along those lines, Mandy P shared this. This year, my kids get a week, quote unquote, off once school ends, but then we are establishing weekly chores. Nothing crazy, but something to help me and keep them accountable. Otherwise, it's a free for all and I burn out in a week. Also, paper plates and plastic forks and spoons unless we need glass dishes. Okay, so there's two great tweaks here. I love it. Okay, so kind of in that same tone of like giving kids like almost like a little bit of a break, just like letting them like ease into summer. Or and then kind of establishing like, okay, now that we had like a little quote unquote vacation, here's kind of what we need to do. So maybe kind of tying in both Ashley's and Mandy's together of like having like a fun little summer kickoff week and then establishing like, okay, this is what our normal days are going to look like. And then I love the idea of paper plates or those paper boats. Somebody else mentioned that online too, that they get those paper boats just in bulk on Amazon. And it's just easy peasy. You can take them with you because they have kind of like those sides. And then you can just, or you can have them at home. It just simplifies life. I love this because I end up running the dishwasher several times during the day in the summertime. So paper plates for the wind. Thank you, Mandy. Okay, this comes from Sarah. Oh, and she said the same thing. I knew this, and I'm just clicking through these. I use more paper plates during the summer to help on the dirty dish avalanche. She's not lying. I told you I do so many dishes in the summer, and I don't feel bad about it. I don't get as many dirty dishes, and it's easy cleanup while everyone is home all day. So, second win for that. Anne H said this: we make cold lunches every morning when we have breakfast, just like we do during the school year. That way, if we're home, we can eat them whenever kids are hungry, or if we're out and about or head to the pool, they're all ready and we just need to take them along. Saves on another big cleanup of the kitchen since we're doing it all during breakfast and we're going to have to pick up and wipe down the kitchen anyway. I did this last year and it worked so well. Okay, I love this. I'm literally trying to figure out how this is going to work for my family. Um, but this is genius. You guys are all so smart. All of these are so good. But think about that. I'm even thinking for a work from home mom that like, you're like, I have things to do over the lunch hour, but then the kids could grab their lunch and eat it if they need to. Genius. I also love that you can be spontaneous this way. Like, hey, if there's like some free space and you're like, it's a nice day, let's go to the pool. You just grab your lunches. There's no extra prep time and you go. I always, when the kids were little, had a pool bag for the same reason. I would just literally always keep the sunscreen, some snacks in a bag, their pool goggles, and then the pool towels in this bag, and I just keep it on the hook. When we get home from the pool, I'd literally pull out the towels, put them in the washing machine, and then I'd have an extra set of towels. So I always had two sets of towels when the kids were little, and I put the new set back in the pool bag. So literally it was ready to go at a moment's notice. If we were like, today's a nice day, we're going to head to the pool. I just always had that ready to go. So another kind of same in that vein hack. Okay, Casey D said, just keep popsicles in the fridge, always. There is nothing that a popsicle won't fix on a very hot summer day. Okay, I love this, Casey. And we do something kind of similar where at the beginning of the summer, I take my kids to Costco and I let them pick out some fun frozen treats. They really like those Greek yogurt bars. And then we will have this like little mid-afternoon, 3 o'clock. It's just like something that they look forward to. They're like, is it 3 o'clock? And they get to have a fun frozen treat if we're home in the afternoon. If we're not home, then we don't do it. But if we're home in the afternoon, it's kind of just like hey, we made it to 3 o'clock. We're going to celebrate like a popsicle or whatever. And it's really fun. They look forward to. My kids have already said, hey, when do we get to go to Costco and pick out our frozen treats? Again, simple is still significant. So, and I have the fondest memories of those twin popsicles and breaking them in half and sharing one with my sister growing up. Like I used to try to look through the right wrapping. Remember they used to be wrapped in white kind of paper? And I liked cherry most of all. And I thought most of the time I was getting cherry, but every once in a while it would be orange, and orange was my least favorite, but then you had to eat it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Popsicles. I love it. Keep them in the fridge, in the freezer. Okay, this one's from Kelsey. Teaching my kids to make a few basic meals this summer: eggs, mac and cheese, sandwiches, ramen. It takes off the pressure of me having to make every single meal and helps them know how to cook these when they leave the house. Yes, I've seen lots of different iterations of like teaching them how to be an adult or, human skills 101 in the summertime. I think this falls into that. Like, not only is it helping you in the here and the now, it's going to help them in the future. As I always say, we're not just raising kids, we're raising future adults. And I love this. Again, it kind of goes back to like it's getting my heart palpitations of like my seventh grade summer of having them make like a little summer meal plan. I'm thinking that I might have my kids do this summer, like have them work as a team. And then they come up with a little meal plan, they make a little grocery list, and I buy what they need, and then they make lunch. I'm seriously thinking about this, you guys. I'll report back. I'll report back. I love that. Thank you. All right, Laura said, I put out a tray of anytime snacks that the kids can eat at whenever they want, even right before meals. It's usually apples, oranges, and a bunch of those little sealed fruit cups, stuff like that. I love this. So it kind of reminds me of my veggie box that I put out while I'm making dinner and they can snack on it. But I have heard so many things about just leaving out a little tray of fresh vegetables and fruit and just letting them munch on it throughout the day. I love this so much because I mean, my kids want 4,000 snacks every day, all day long. So if anybody's got any snack tips, let me know. We do the viral snack hack that I shared a couple of summer ago where I have a bin for the week and we go to Costco. Again, we go to Costco once a month. We pick out the snacks and then we divide them up into 4 even piles. Problem is, some of my friends who are a little bit older and bigger and hungry all the time eat the snacks really fast and it really makes their little siblings kind of frustrated. So we're figuring that out around here. But if anybody has any tweaks about snacks, I love this one, without becoming the snack police. Weigh in and let us know. Okay, this one's from Jamie S. We have quiet time every day that we are home. It's always close to the same time and lasts the same amount of time, and the same limited activities are allowed. Everyone must be separated and not talk to each other. A chance to recharge and some quiet time for mama. I love this. Okay, I talked about that last week, that quiet time is good for everyone. I'm very curious what Jamie does for her limited activities that are allowed. But I think it's so important to just have some space from one another. We're with each other 24/7, and I don't know about you, but I need a little bit of quiet just to process and think. So I love this. Thank you for sharing, Jamie. Okay, Cindy G said this: slow it down. Don't teach your kids that life is running around like maniacs 24/7. I think I've been thinking about this a lot, because my son is in football right now, but he also is having some basketball practice. And when he was in track season, they were already having football meetings and basketball meetings. And I was like, wait a minute, we're in track. We're also talking about football and basketball. And oh my goodness. And so I think the older they get, the more that like it's going to be like seasons bleed and blend into each other. But allowing our kids just space to be present in this season and like really thinking about summer being a Sunday of the year of just like allowing them to be kids, allowing them to rest, recoup, regenerate, right? My friend Jennifer Dukesley talks about the seasons of farming because she's a farmer, right? And how in the winter the farm fields have to rest, but that's very valuable time for the nutrients to develop in the ground and to be ready to be cultivated. And then there's a time for growing, and then there's a time for harvesting, and then back to rest again. And so really just teaching our kids it's okay to rest and slow down. I know it's hard for me, especially coming off of May, where you're just running around with a chicken with your head cut off. But I think this is really sage and wonderful advice. Thank you, Cindy, for allowing us the permission to say it's okay to slow it down. And last but not least, J Dubs said this: have a list of activities for the kids to choose, a few each day or each week. They don't all have to be about spending money, but when they get to have a say in what they do as well, they'll be more excited. I couldn't agree more. It goes back to that what matters list. I also think having a small menu of activities for your kids to do, again, keeping it small, right? We don't need a Cheesecake Factory menu, right? Have you ever been to the Cheesecake Factory? There's like 100 ideas, and it's like the decision fatigue is real. And so that can happen with bucket lists too. Like, oh, there's 50 things. I don't know what to choose. But giving them like 5 options, like you can paint with watercolors, you can paint with chalk, you can play Play-Doh, even 3 options. And then letting them do that, I think is so helpful for kids, just to kind of help them get started. Because as we always say, the hardest part is getting started. And then from there, they can find their momentum. And so, I think that's just a really great idea. Again, inviting kids into the process of planning not only helps them to feel like their opinion matters, but then you ensure that what matters gets done. All right, so these were great tweaks. I hope that they gave you some things to think about. I love when I listen to podcast episodes like this, because I'm just processing and like putting it in my own context of like, oh, would that work for us? Or how would that work for us? Or even if I don't make lunch every morning, is there a specific morning where it would make sense to make lunches with breakfast so we don't have to clean up the kitchen again? Or can we use paper plates because it would make less dishes in the dishwasher and I don't have to worry about that? Or could I offload making lunches to my kids, and what would that look like? Just lots of different ideas here that I hope are helpful to you as you anticipate summer. Remember, you don't need a life overhaul. You don't need to overhaul your summer to make it work for you, when a tiny tweak will do. And when in doubt, if something feels hard or like it feels clunky, I'll be like to myself, I'll say, what's a tiny tweak I can make here? What's something simple that I can just shift or change to make it a little bit easier? And that's where we start, with a tiny tweak. All right, friends, I will see you next week. But until then, I hope you find a tiny tweak that makes your life 100 times easier this summer. If you liked this episode, it would mean so much if you'd share it with a friend or leave a quick rating and review so others can find our show. Until next time, you can find me at Simple Purposeful Living on Instagram and Facebook.